And then I guess talking about the future, I mean, are there any goals, 5-year plans? Where do you see it going in the next few years?
Well, moving in progression, I was going to say, Wanda, you're moving into the president role, so take lead on
Oh,
that one.
tell
So,
us.
I think one of the things that Snehal already mentioned, we really want to strengthen their mentorship. We want to get more involved with helping some of the other ladies, that have aspirations for, higher leadership. We want to get in there and start mentoring them.
Welcome to another episode of Toll Talk. And today's episode is a really cool one. It's called A Box of Tomatoes. And so we're going to dig into that box and going to share some fun stories today because we have some phenomenal leaders and women joining us today. But first, I'm your host, one of your hosts anyway. I'm Alex Ficari, CEO of Mojo, and I'm joined here with Kalie Jakovics, who's Director of Business Development. Kalie?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Welcome, ladies. We're super excited to have the Women in Tolling Council, the leadership team, with us here today for our episode. And we'll do some introductions. So we have Snehal Ambare, which is the Regional Client Service Leader of Tolling at CDM Smith. We have Lauren Hakos, which is the Training and Development Manager at Ohio Turnpike. Tawnya Freund, the Chief Commercial Officer of Via Plus by Vinci Highways. Wanda Sneed, the Project Director of Atkins Realis, and Mary Sallach, Director of Strategic Initiatives at State Road and Tollway Authority. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to hear more about the women in tolling. And I guess let's kind of talk, if you want to, share anything about yourselves, the organization you represent, how long you've been a part of the tolling and transportation industry. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Snehal Ambare, as Kalie mentioned, from CDM Smith, and I do serve as the Regional Transportation Client Service Leader. I have been in the tolling industry for about way over 20 years. And in addition to that, it's my honor to serve as the 2024 Chair of Women in Tolling Council. About IBTTA, I've been involved since like 2015. And to be honest with you, it's truly like a family to me.
Yeah.
We all know how IBTTA leads the transportation industry through thought leadership, but we also embrace that cultural diversity, and also love to have fun at the same time.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, when we attend all these IBTTA meetings and conferences, we all know those late night discussions that we all love to have, right? The after party karaoke or the after party discussions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into that.
And like every family, we also have our inside jokes, right?
Right.
And that's what this all started off with, right? And some of us here already know, and some in the audience probably also know, it all started with this box of tomatoes. And I think everybody's pretty much curious in knowing what is this thing, right?
Right.
And in fact, the idea for the store talks, right? It came directly from this box of tomatoes conversation. So let's put that into perspective. And I was thinking a box of tomatoes can just appear in front of you when you least expect it. It's full of surprises. And it just goes to show, we don't know what lies ahead of us, but we just have to dive in and embrace it. And this is what we, as Women in Tolling Council, we do it. This is the leadership you see supported by the 20 other council members. We just embrace it and we make things happen. So that's it.
That's phenomenal, and I definitely want to kind of hold the surprise on the box of tomatoes. That's a fantastic story, and I just had a really quick question. Those here in the room right now, who knows what we're referencing when we say the box of tomatoes? Okay, so we have a few people that were there with the box of tomatoes. We'll dig in, but before we do that, Wanda, tell us a little bit about you as well.
Okay, so I've been in the industry for like Snehal about 24 years. And my first IBTTA conference was around 2020. I was supposed to attend the tech summit in 2019. They got canceled because of COVID, of course. But so I came to the first annual immediately following the shutdown. And the good thing, I was already involved with the Women in Tolling. So, the very first conference you go to, you're all nervous because you don't know anybody. But these ladies, especially a lot of the ladies here on this call, they embraced me as soon as I met them at the very first conference I went to. So that's one of the things we like to do for first-time members. We like to really, meet them, get to know them, kind of smooth the way a little bit so they have someone else they know besides, just the people they work with when they come to their first conference.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. So I joined maybe my first conference maybe 4 years ago now, and I just I remember actually, I believe it was Mary that was inviting me to all of the WIT events, and you should come. And I was like, oh, I was a little nervous, but I did. I'm so glad, that you all do what you do and try to get people involved and feel comfortable at these events.
So do you remember that, Mary? Do you remember inviting Kalie out there?
And Kalie was great. It was a great conversation. And with WIT, that's what we're all about, including everyone, no matter where they're at in their career. Let's all do this together and bring everyone up.
Yeah. And I'll say, even that's the one theme that we always, when we're ever bringing up IBTTA, that's one thing that's always there. It's family. And, we are always welcomed, I mean, Tawnya, like when you first started, do you remember like who invited you in? Do you remember that moment that kind of the ice was broken?
I mean, I've been in the tolling space for, like everybody else, over 20 years. I started going to IBTTA events in the early 2000s. I don't think it was, as it is now, super inviting. I mean, there weren't a lot of women certainly in a commercial role or operational role. There was a lot more, not a lot of people that looked like me, at least at the conferences in those days. And so it felt a little harder. I was fortunate to have some of my team members that helped kind of break the ice there for us. But I find it very different now. It's a far more diverse looking crowd. It's far more welcoming. And I think people go out of their way to encourage people to step out of their comfort zone and try new things and join the group to be able to expand their network. So I think there's been a lot of shift in the last 20 years of conferences.
Well, if I can say one thing, just as an outsider, well, not outsider, I'm part of the team here, but looking in newer, I'll put it that way, being a newer member of IBTTA, only 5 years, you guys make it look easy, which says a lot, right? I mean, if it just seems so natural, everybody's friendly and embracing. I mean, it seems like it's really been something that everybody's kind of really embraced that idea of open arms and welcoming. And I think it kind of goes to the whole idea that, we need to bring up the next generation of tolling experts, right? And bring them in here and help get them involved. So, I mean, I know Lauren was super friendly and helpful and, especially, her and Kalie are hanging out a lot, but, you guys definitely made it easy. So that's fantastic. We appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. And I think too, so, we've been a part of this industry, 4 or 5 years now, so we're still relatively new and coming in as a woman even. It's really nice to see, this leadership team and the leaders a part of IBTTA and just tolling infrastructure engineering in general, and it makes it easier. It's definitely less stressful, and I can see how confident and smart that you are, and I know that also I can always ask any questions, and it just thank you for paving the way to make it easier for us ladies.
So I think we have a big question. We have to get in. I want to get into back to what Snehal was saying earlier, and that is this box of tomatoes we've been talking about. Right? Please
share where that came from.
Yeah, if you can just rewind, let's just set the frame here. So it's days of conferencing. We're all out there. We're getting, I think it's Monday, right, or something like that, and it's a long day. You start up 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're going, and it's now we've had the evening party, and then the after party, right? Did everybody go to the after party and the evening party? Did everybody go to both? Okay. Yeah. Looks like, okay. I know Mary was there. You never miss Mary. She's got a set of pipes on her. Great singer. And I also learned a great musician. But anyway, going back to this. So the after party happened. Let's take it from there. It's what time of night is it?
Lost track of time.
It usually goes till really late.
Yeah.
Probably more the morning. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look
Snehal,
at your Fitbit and you've gotten 3,000 steps and it's not even 7 a.m.
Oh, yeah. At
That's
the
a
end of
good
the day, it's like
description.
20,000 plus, and I'm like, brought an extra pair of shoes because I can barely walk in my heels anymore.
Absolutely.
Or someone's
Comfy
barefoot.
feet.
I don't know.
So, but yeah, Snehal, tell us about the box of tomatoes. Where was the origins? Where did it take place?
I think more than me, I would like Mary to kind of talk about it.
Okay.
Because it all started.
It's still guilt by association, just so you know. No, go ahead, Mary.
Thank you. So, again, I'm Mary with the State Road and Tollway Authority. I'm the past chair of WIT, and as Kalie introduced, I used to be the director of strategic initiatives, and recently moved over into external affairs, which gives me the opportunity to do more with IBTTA and initiatives such as WIT. But with that, I've also been around more than 20 years in the industry. Started out in 2010 at my first IBTTA conference. A woman, Terry Sallach, had introduced me to a lot of folks at the conference, and it made a big difference because, like Tawnya and others have mentioned, it's a bit scary when people they look, different from you. It was mainly men that were, executives later in their careers. And it can be very intimidating. So that was one thing that made such a difference to me and inspired me as we look to pull the WIT Council together. But going back as early as 2019, when we were in Philadelphia, we were sitting around a table similar to what we're talking about with the box of tomatoes. We were sitting there with food and talking about, what would it take to pull the women together so that it's less about competition and more about how can we bring everyone up. You had folks like Mary Jane O'Mara and Emma Stoshi and lots of people there that had great ideas. We created the WIT group on LinkedIn that day. And we just organically started WIT. And by the next year, the WIT Council was formed. But going back to the box of tomatoes, we've had some great conversations about it. And it all started at after the after party, which, we all got together. You're all starving after you've had some fun dancing, singing, etc. And, with that box of tomatoes, we're tossing it around and we're tossing around ideas, just like we did at the WIT Council breakfast. And it was just such a great conversation. It rolled over into the next day. And we had Kalie, we had Alex, we had all these folks together, and we brought in some new folks at that very conversation. And it just became something really not heartwarming, but this is really what the tolling industry is all about. Getting there together, coming up with new ideas, and doing something better. So with that, I mean, I do also want to give Lauren a chance to introduce herself, but that's really what it's all about in tolling.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mary. Lauren Hakos with the Ohio Turnpike and Infrastructure Commission. Like these other amazing ladies, I've been with the Turnpike for going on 24 years and part of IBTTA for just as long. I actually got involved at a conference. It was an annual meeting, or actually it was a organizational management meeting, I think around 2000 in Chicago. No one else from my agency was there. I didn't know a soul. I had a supportive executive director who really wanted our agency to get more involved. So I went to a conference. I sat in a room. I didn't know anyone, and they were looking for volunteers for a committee. And that was it. I volunteered for a communications committee and got super involved at that time. And Kim Polton, who's also been in the industry for a long, long time, was somebody who befriended me early on. So I have to give her a shout out because it is exactly what all of these ladies said. You introduce yourself to folks and get them involved and encourage them, support them. And it's just sort of a trickle down effect. So the box of tomatoes, my take on that is that we didn't want the conversation to end. We didn't want the night to end. It was such a good time. And so the food showed up, and a box of tomatoes was one of the random food items at this round table full of people, all diverse people, all different companies. And it was just a wonderful evening/morning that we didn't want to end. So yeah.
And you truly never know the conversations that we're going to have, the ideas that come up, and what is going to happen after the event and the connections that are made. So I do love that story of the box of tomatoes. But I want to roll into some of the WIT programs and initiatives. So, I mean, what key programs and initiatives does the WIT Council currently have in place, or what are you planning for the future?
So we have like 5 committees, the planning and programs, who are responsible to kind of, plan the events, the programs for Technology Summit and annual conference. We also have an outreach and service committee where we kind of do some social events and stuff like that. We have marketing and communications, and we have an awards committee. And I do want to kind of do we have a call for nominations out right now. So please go ahead and make sure that you submit your nominations. It's due tomorrow. And I know some of you are like the last minute go-getters, so make sure you get the nominations in. And I'll let others explain more about some of the upcoming events that we have.
And quick question, where do we submit for the nominations?
So go to our website, IBTTA's website, and Women in Tolling. And if you click for the awards, you will see that link to it, and you can just go ahead and submit it online.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing.
Excellent.
I will say it's a short nomination process. There's, I think, 5 questions. So it's not a long process to nominate either a trailblazer. That's one of the awards, or a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. So how does Women in Tolling work to create a more inclusive and supportive environment in the tolling industry as a whole? I mean, because you have all these initiatives that you have to manage and help get awareness out there. But like when it comes down to actually taking action and making that change, can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, what are you doing in that regard?
Sure, I'll be glad to take
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, thanks. Our mission is connecting women in tolling globally, supporting diversity and leadership, and promoting professional development. And through that, we try to hold at least one event on a quarterly basis. So this year, so far, if you were at the Tech Summit, we had not only the sort of C-suite panel, but we also had a wonderful social. We plan to have a webinar in the summer to talk about safety. As we look into the fall, we, of course, at the annual meeting, we will have a WIT session where we'll talk about our year in review, help people learn how to get more involved in WIT, and we'll also have a social at that time. And then we have our holiday social at the end of the year. So we try to make opportunities for people to be able to get involved at not only the Tech Summit and the annual meeting, but also online in virtual events, at social events. And then WIT is also supporting many of the service opportunities that IBTTA has put together. Women in Tolling sponsored this last event at the Hope Atlanta and U.S. Hunger Food Drive, where we had a number of folks in WIT shirts, and we rolled up our sleeves on Sunday morning. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we packed over 25,000 pounds of food. So it was a lot and a lot of fun. And we hope to be able to continue that in the future. But being a part of WIT is about getting together, helping each other. And it's, whether we have 4 or 6 events during the year, we're wanting to provide those opportunities at conferences in a way as well.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And another question that just kind of popped in my head. Does WIT offer any mentorship programs?
So for this one, we have looked at it over the years. We have supported mentorship when there was a mentorship committee with IBTTA. And as we look to the future, We want to partner even more with the young professionals and the LAAA that Lauren and I originally were a part of. And so in partnering with them, mentorship is one of our first initiatives that we would like to look at. And it's about, partnering the younger folks with some of the more experienced folks within the industry and giving them, every opportunity. So that's currently what we're looking at. But stay tuned for more information. Hopefully, we'll have something to share as of the annual meeting.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sign me up to be on the list as a mentee.
I've got you down.
Would love a mentor in this space.
So I'm kind of curious that this is such a great opportunity for, again, young women looking to profession, right? Getting in there and learning so many different things. I guess what I'm really curious about, is there any shareable, success stories or, we've seen some great successes, like, and if you were at the Tech Summit, those who were there, it was this phenomenal panel of leadership in the C-suite over at CERTA, paving the way for the entire state. That's a great example. But do you have any more case studies or experiences that people should know about, like, and the impact that it's making?
I'll start us off. So our primary goal and mission we talked about is to bring women from all parts of the world, right? And have different experiences. They are in the different stage of their career, for them to share their ideas, experiences, so thus creating this strong community. And what we do, we want them to build these relationships with people who are in a higher leadership positions, so that also gives them that networking opportunities, that supporting opportunities. And one thing I do want to say here is women in tolling, when we talk about the supporting community, it's just not women. It's also men. And I have to repeat that again, because many times I keep hearing this is like, it's only for women, and it is not, right? Yeah. We cannot succeed if only half of us are trying to move forward.
Team effort. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need men to be supportive of us. So our success story right now, I would say, is having both men and women at the table, helping us advance our programs, and them being supportive of our initiatives is what I would say.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, no, I think that's great, because I you bring up a great point, and I think it's this the awareness that in like I had seen so many key leaders, that are, women doing phenomenal things in the industry, then that, not average things. They're doing phenomenal things to change the way the technology is going or their roles. And it's just like, yeah, that's fantastic. I think you're right. It does take the awareness. And I always joke with Kalie. She says, oh, we have a Women in Tolling event. And I'm like, do I get to go? And she's like,
yes,
no, yes. And then somebody was saying no, and they were teasing me. I'm like, well, I want to go, but I'm like, I don't know if I should go. And it's like, I always
get timid about it. I'm like, just come.
Now I just go. I'll just go. I don't care.
Please come. You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone is welcome.
Always.
No, that's good. So, go ahead. Sorry. So
I would just add with this, talking about success, we're over 500 strong.
Wow.
And we're women and men. And had you asked me in 2019 at that breakfast table in Philadelphia, I would have said maybe 150 in the industry total. And we are growing rapidly every year.
Yeah.
So more women are interested, more women are involved. For those of you that were at IBTTA 15, 20 years ago, you rarely saw a female presenting. Today, almost every panel. Mm-hmm. And there's such a dramatic change that has occurred just even in the last 5 years. And so I don't think there's one success story. I think it's, as an industry, we have made just advanced change to support women. And I hope it continues to the point one day where we don't need to have, the Women in Tolling, the young professional, all these different councils. We'll all be in this together, and everyone will be in an inclusive environment.
Well said.
Yeah, I think Mary makes a good point. One of the things that we've really tried to focus on is ensuring that, you see these women who are doing great things on panels at the conferences, that they're submitting abstracts and ideas and sharing about not just their personal, but also professional success. And I think one of the things that's important that I think Mary mentioned it earlier, that the programming committee is focused on is also virtual events, because not everyone across the board in the industry gets to come to all of the conferences. And so the ability also to expand that past just the typical people that you might see at the conferences really allows us, I think, to reach those broader people in the space, and has really helped in supporting, as Mary said, that expansion to 500 people.
Yeah.
And I will tack on to that. And when I was part of IBTTA back in 2000, there weren't a lot of women on the board of IBTTA or had served as president of IBTTA. So even that has changed over the years, and would like to, of course, see that trend continue.
That's a great point.
And then I guess talking about the future, I mean, are there any goals, 5-year plans? Where do you see what going in the next few years?
Well, moving in progression, I was going to say, Wanda, you're moving into the president role. So take the lead on that one.
Tell us.
So, I mean, I think one of the things that Snehal already mentioned, we really want to strengthen their mentorship. We want to get more involved with helping some of the other ladies, that have aspirations for, higher leadership. We want to get in there and start mentoring them. And then I think I was talking to a couple of ladies in Atlanta. We're really going to get down before the end of the year to figure out what our main goals are for next year, because there are a lot of different things we can do. So we want to pick, maybe 2 or 3 key things, mentorship being one of them, that we can set for the agenda for next year so we can focus on them. So now we're going to get probably a little bit more formalized in some of this, so we can really have some clear objectives for next year. And so we can actually, be a benefit and help with our mission statement, even strengthen it even more. So I'm really looking forward to that next year.
That's right. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. That's great. So talking a little bit, moving into the industry trends and insights, I do have a question about kind of, what trends do you see shaping the future for the tolling industry? And how can women be better positioned to take advantage of these trends?
I'll jump in. I think you see more women in leadership roles and executive director roles. I think that the CERTA panel that Mary coordinated, that Snehal spoke at and kind of led from a facilitator standpoint, gave us a broad look of an agency that has a really interesting perspective, because their entire C-suite is made up of women. So I think as an industry, we're seeing more women in leadership positions. I think that from a trend, I think that the conversation, at least with the women that I know, is also being willing to take a risk. And I think this is one of the points that came up during that panel was pushing yourself, not just assuming that, hey, there's 15 criteria for this position and I only meet 14 of them. So technically I'm not qualified, when somebody else might look at it and go, you know what, I've got 3 of those, I'm absolutely qualified. So looking at that and pushing yourself to try new things. And then also, I think, surrounding yourself with women who say, you know what, you're wrong. You not only have all those 15, you have these other 3 things. Getting somebody that gives you a different perspective on yourself, having this group of people that you can rely on to bounce ideas off of, to be able to be in a safe space where you can say, okay, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And having the person go, you know what? Absolutely. I think you'd kill it at that position. So I think as an industry, we're seeing that a little bit more, that willingness to stretch. You don't have to meet all 15 of those requirements to technically be qualified.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic you're bringing that up, Tawnya, because I think it's not only those 2 things, but I think it's also that if you only have those 3, that there are other women to help you get the other 12, right? Or whatever those are. And I think, but that's that collaboration and that effort.
Encouragement.
And not just women, but all of those people bringing that together. Like that's a great point. And Snehal, I think that's kind of cool, because I remember that moment you shared that on that panel. It was like day 1. How does it feel to hear that resonated with people? Does that makes a difference?
I mean, that panel was it was really encouraging for me, and I loved it. I don't think I'm ever going to forget it.
We love these compliments. We have received so many compliments, and we have been asked, like, we need to have more of these panels where we actually get into some deeper conversations with the panelists as well. So it was a true success story. And I really kudos to Mary and our programs committee team who led the efforts to put this together.
Yeah,
Thank you, Snehal. And I would just add, as we look at trends along the lines of what Tawnya mentioned as well, we've had a lot of conversations about AI, connected vehicles, automated vehicles, all of these technological changes coming in the future as new innovations are brought forward. One thing that is not often mentioned, but innovation of thought and having diversity of thought. It's so important to have women diversity at the table because you get that difference of opinion from different backgrounds and you get to a better place in figuring out how to deal with change. So when we look at AI and new concepts that are foreign to all of us, having all of those backgrounds is what will help us to come up with the best possible way to, accommodate and figure out how to do tolling in the future. So I'm excited about the trends and what's coming next.
I have one thing I'd like to add, and I don't know if this is specific to the question asked, but I think it's very important for women to continue to submit proposals or presentation ideas, because still to this day, and I'll use the annual meeting as an example, 95 to 97% of the submissions were from men. So
really?
I don't think we do a good enough job promoting ourselves, or we're hesitant to submit when there's a call for presentations, but I can't encourage women to do it enough. So for the annual meeting, we'll be kind of looking at a broader spectrum of who's in the industry and trying to pull some women into the panels. So sometimes it's a forced effort rather than something that comes naturally. So I just would always encourage women to step forward phenomenal. If you can.
Yeah. Well, I think it's forced until it is natural, right? But that's a great point, Lauren. Yeah,
so what I hear you saying is, I'm going to submit all you ladies for annual.
There's a good chance of that.
Yes, let's encourage each other to do that. So
yeah,
all right,
that's good.
All right. As we're coming to a close here, we've got a few minutes left, but we kind of want to hear a little bit about personal experience and any advice. So, I mean, if each of you can share some personal experience, the highlights, the importance of wit in your career, please give us what you got.
Well, I'll start. I've been in the industry like these ladies have for a long, long time. It's time for others to step up. I think once we complete our term on Women in Tolling, we're going to look for the next generation of folks to take over where we started. So I'm encouraged by that. It's been a great experience, and we'll continue to get people involved and do our part to get people involved. Even if you don't know anybody, we'll help you, we'll introduce you, and join a committee. I can definitely say that's one of the key ways to get involved.
So with whenever I started getting more involved and wanting to step up in my career, Mary Jane O'Meara helped me a lot as a mentor, a friend, and just had such good advice for what it took to advance and go to the next level. Having a mentor just can mean the world as far as helping you to close the gap in the areas where you want to stretch yourself. And so I would encourage anyone that is interested in doing more with their career, get a mentor. It's so helpful and can make all of the difference. But I just give a shout out to her, to all of the folks that have helped me along the way, and that would be my advice.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on what Mary said, because getting a mentor, that's really good. It'll help you really challenge you and help you with some of the trouble spots there. And also, I think this group of ladies and all of WIT you can form some really valuable friendships, because you know how you have friends, but they're in other industries. But I find that having some good friends in this industry, especially other ladies, I can come to any of these ladies, you know, when I have a challenge, or, you know, I'm trying to figure out which way to go. And because our industry can be very challenging, and I always get excellent advice, or just unload with these ladies. And I always, you know, I really appreciate that. And this group of ladies have been, you know, really helpful in that aspect. So I encourage everyone to form, you know, tighter friendships with a lot of the ladies there.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I think being surrounded by, you know, intelligent, accomplished women who are looking to make a difference, whether it's in their communities or in the industry with helping additional people. I'm fortunate enough to live in the same state as Wanda, and so we get an opportunity to get together regularly and can serve as a sounding board. And I think you need that. And I would say that everyone on this panel or on this call has been that for me, at least at different times, being able to reach out and say, hey, what do you think about this? You know, do you have any advice? I think the opportunity to leverage experience outside of your own is really important. And I think it certainly gets me excited about being a part of something that I think is really important for the industry.
And I second everything that our leadership team said. That was perfect. And I'm going to keep it very short and simple. It's time to create a world where gender knows no success, and the time to act on it is now.
Oh, I love that.
Well said. Well said.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It was great to get to know you a little bit more and hear about, you know, the leadership role you have for WIT, and just learning about WIT, Women in Tolling Council. Again, thank you so much, ladies. Alex, you have anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say it just for myself. Thank you very much for all that you're doing, and I think it's amazing as well. But also, just kind of want to remind some of our viewers who are watching, you know, we hope that you are following along, you know, and you like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you great content like this. And, you know, and keeping your eye out on the calendar. We've got some events coming up. We have IBTTA's Ruck event in Baltimore as one event. And then we also have, obviously, the annual event coming up. It's a little ways out, but it's going to be coming, and it's going to be in Cleveland. We're really looking forward to going out there. Lauren has already offered her house for those who can't find a hotel, so you don't have to worry about that.
For the after party.
For the after party, correct.
Will you have tomatoes?
Yeah,
Boxes
That
of
is
them.
the question.
yeah. Now, and that's you know, I think that's a great the great point to kind of close on is, you know, you'll find yourself in many moments in life where you have a box of tomatoes, you don't know what to do with it, and you'll never know the amazing things that can happen when you just get a great group of people together. And, you know, you never know what the future will hold for you. So, you know, we thank you very much for watching, and we hope you all have a great day and make the most of this week.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.